This is Denise Wakeman, your host of Adventures in Visibility. We've had some technical difficulties, so we're just going to jump in. I'm with Dr. Rachna Jain, the author of Internet Marketing for the Rest of Us. Ooh, where's my camera? There it is. And we are talking about visibility and profitability today. And Rachna was talking about her distinction between popularity and profitability, and maybe you just want to quickly recap that and then we'll move on.
Absolutely. So I think one of the biggest mistakes people make when they're marketing online is they focus too much on popularity and not enough on profitability. So they focus on things like, I have this many likes to my Facebook page, or I have this many people following me on Twitter, or this many connections on LinkedIn. But for many people, those connections will not turn into business. And that is what I wrote this whole book about, because I think that's a big problem. Profitability needs to come first, but very often people have it come last. And so that's really the distinction, that visibility by itself or popularity by itself is not going to help you build a successful business.
And by popularity, you are referring to someone's presence on the web, right? Oh, I lost her again. We are having a hard time with this one. We might need to reschedule this. Okay, what is going on? So you can see, folks, that this technical stuff doesn't always work the way you want it to work. Are you back, Rachna?
I can hear you, but I'm getting a thing that the Hangout's over.
Uh-oh. It's not saying that it's over for me.
And I can still hear you, and I see myself on screen, but I don't see you.
You don't see me talking right
Okay, now I do. Yeah, sorry. Now it's back. Okay, now I'm back. So
you're back.
I'm back, yeah. So I think that the distinction basically is that visibility by itself isn't enough to make your business run.
Right, right. And the visibility is about your presence on the web, social networks, that sort of thing, right?
Absolutely. And the mistake that I think people make is they adopt what I call the celebrity business model, which is where they change their profile picture a lot. They get photographed, at events and networking and like with cool people, and they feel like somehow that's going to extend into profitability in their business, and there's nothing wrong. I like people. I like networking. But I think it's a problem when that's your only strategy of how you're going to attract clients, because you can spend a lot of time and a lot of money going out to all the events and trying to be photographed with all the, the desirable people, and at the end of the day, you won't be able to attract clients from it in most cases.
So that clearly tells me that there's a lot of people who are building their presence, but they're not making that connection to how to make money from that visibility or profit or popularity.
Actually, I think it's that they don't know how, but they don't even realize that they need to. Like, right. I think there's a step before that, because the thing that I've learned, and I've learned this from seeing clients across the spectrum, all the different kinds of clients I worked with, that even the people who have communities of 100,000 people or more, they still have to have a plan for converting that attention into sales. So they have teams that help them develop strategy, they have teams that help them implement, but they still, at the basic level, have to be making an offer of something for sale, and they have to be taking the steps to close that sale. And there's this way that people, I think, get so caught up in this feeling of, I'm so popular, everyone knows me, everybody likes me, but they don't realize that that has to be tied to an offer or a promise that you're making in order to turn that into dollars in your business.
So what do you suggest in terms of getting started making that connection?
Yeah, so what I would do is I would actually seek to use your visibility for something worthwhile, something good. So what I would do is I would start to ask questions of the people that you're connecting with. Find out what their problems are, their challenges are. Find out kind of why they are interested in connecting with you. If you find that certain of your updates in social media get a lot of traction, where people are really excited, commenting, sharing, that's going to be a good indicator. It's going to be like a breadcrumb that you want to follow to see that, oh, what is it people are expecting from me? You can also ask them. You can test out different kinds of content. But the key is really to see what people are responding to the most and be able to see how you can take that and utilize it in the service of your business. I think that's one way. And I think the second way is to really look at being congruent with what it is you're trying to promote online. So, for example, my favorite thing is that if you are an image consultant and you're promoting your image consultation services, you want to look somewhat like you take your own advice, right?
Yes.
And it doesn't mean you have to be perfect, right? People like authenticity. They like to see you as a real person. You can share your challenges with it. Like, every day I don't feel like dressing up, or every day I don't feel like putting on makeup or doing my hair. But the thing is that if you're trying to sell something online, you have to look like you have some greater mastery over it than the people to whom you're trying to sell that thing. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Unlike me right now, showing people that I'm struggling with Google Hangouts, but I'm just joking about that. So once you've made that connection, and a lot of people, that are watching this, they already have a business, so they're struggling. In the people I'm talking to, they're struggling to get found and to be visible so that they can make that offer, so that there's somebody actually to make that offer. And I know that you, at a recent conference, showed like a progression of how people needed to go through that process. Do you mind sharing a little bit of that ladder or process?
No, yeah, I would be glad to. So the process is one that if you're familiar with Abraham Maslow, who was a humanistic psychologist, he developed a really famous hierarchy of needs. And the hierarchy of needs, it's for people and living in their personal lives. He talks about that we can't actually seek things like self-actualization, which is the highest level, until we've dealt with the physiological needs of sleep and safety and security, that kind of thing. So what I basically did is I borrowed Maslow's concept and I applied it to business. And so I have now what it's been termed Jane's hierarchy of business needs. And I'd be glad to share the graphic with anyone who's interested. It is in my book also, so if you have my book, you have the graphic already. But the graphic is really talks about the idea that you don't want to be looking to make really large platform and legacy moves if you're having trouble keeping the lights on. So the goal is really to build a financial base of clients first, and then be able to do the larger moves of hosting large telesummits or video summits or large conferences or writing a book. All those kinds of things, that are more like platform and big legacy. And so really the key is, if you're just starting out, you really just want to see how you can get your first 3 to 5 clients. You want to do a really, really good job with them, and then use that as a confidence builder and a way to build some income that you can leverage off of to do the rest. And in terms of finding those first 3 to 5 clients, it's really going to come from the personal connections that you have. So your first strategy, if you're super, super new, is to tell everybody about your business, tell them what you love about doing the work that you're planning to do, and take on even practice clients just to begin. And as your confidence and experience grows from there, to be able to extend it out. I think one of the biggest frustrations people have is because, again, as I said earlier, the technology seems so easy, right? We can just sign up for Facebook, and we can sign up for Twitter, and it seems like it should just be like, okay, I'm on Facebook. I should just know how to use it, and it should work automatically. It's really not like that. And my goal is really that people should not feel like they have to learn all of these new platforms in order to start making money. So my goal is really to help them access things they might already be doing or that they already have access to, maybe local groups, maybe local speaking, maybe blogging, which, Denise, you're totally an expert in. So, there's a lot of things even the new business owner can do, and there's things that an intermediate or advanced business owner can do even more or even more skillfully to have results even a little bit quicker.
So in a way, it might feel like a chicken and egg conundrum for some people that, well, how am I going to get clients if I don't have visibility? But how can I get visibility, if I don't have the oomph to back it up in terms of what I'm going to offer people? So whether it's a free gift or a consulting or whatever.
And I totally agree, but I think that the challenge becomes is people spend a lot of time building out that infrastructure and they have nobody to share it with.
Right.
Okay, so I'd much rather have people go out there and have an imperfect free gift or even no free gift at all. But just be able to start practicing talking to people and being able to say, this is what I do, this is my business, would you be interested? And there's kind of 2 points that I cover in my book that I think are really important. The way we make connections online, it is very similar to how we make them in real life. I might say, Denise is my friend, and Denise says, oh, well, I have this other friend you should meet. And I meet that other friend, and then that person says, oh, I have another friend. And people forget that I'm a psychologist by training, and so what I have seen is that human motivations haven't changed very much in thousands of years. The way that we relate to each other hasn't changed. And so we really still build relationships one person at a time. The only thing about technology is it makes it easier maybe to find those people or to make connections with people that we otherwise might not be able to meet. But I do think that, at one point there was all of this hype about communities of hundreds of thousands, and everybody's like, oh, I want a huge email list, and I want this, and I want that. But what I'm really seeing online is that it's moving from thousands reached to hundreds influenced. And the better metric is really about who are you engaging with and who are you influencing, because that really represents your true community. It's not the total number of people on your list, it's the people who are actually interacting with you on your list or in Facebook or anywhere else.
That's a great distinction. I really like that, that difference between thousands on your list and 100 reached or influenced. So and of course, those numbers are always changing, as you meet people or people are finding that, okay, they've got what they need from you and they move on. So it's a in flux all the time. So I think there is a tension between continuing to build that community and also making sure that you are engaging and influencing enough people to have the business that you need and want to sustain yourself and to grow and do what you want.
Yeah, there definitely is. It's not easy, and there's not, unfortunately, a formula that will work for every single business. But I do think if you keep in mind this idea of, am I building a community because I need the community, or am I building a community because I'm trying to build my business? And I see them as different. There's people online that I'm totally friends with that I love goofing around with on Facebook or joking with or teasing that are never going to buy anything from me.
Right.
And I probably will never buy anything from them, and that's totally fine. Whether because what they sell isn't relevant to me or what I sell isn't relevant to them or they're too far away, or there's a lot of reasons why it happens that way. But I'm also very aware, and this is what I suggest we all really be aware of, is that if I'm using it to build my business, there needs to be some return in my business to my time spent there. And It doesn't always have to be direct clients, but it should be opportunities, it should be access, it should be invitations like this. It should be something that's helping you progress forward your business goals.
Right. Okay. I have one more question before we wrap up, because I know you've got other things to move on to today. I read about about the concept of a category of one. And I would love it if you could just explain how that supports profitability in your business.
Absolutely. So the concept of category of one is really this idea that you want to find what has historically been called kind of your unique proposition, your unique business advantage, unique selling proposition. I don't really like any of those words, but it's the same idea. I like category of one. Now, the thing about category of one, though, is that it's not something you just declare. It's not that because you wake up one day and you say, I've decided I'm a category of one, I'm the only person doing this. It really does come out of experience and some direct contact with clients. It's what they say about you. Also, it's what they say that you bring that's distinct from everybody else. The example that I give about this is that if you look online, and Denise, we talked about this, but there's people who everybody calls themselves a social media guru or a social media expert.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you see, and I see, that there's a huge range of actual talent that's represented within that title. So some people really deal with the very specific level of, I'll help you set up your Twitter account and put up a Twitter background. Or some people deal with the same thing for YouTube or the same thing for Pinterest or something like that. So that very specific kind of technical how-to kind of stuff. But they call themselves social media experts. Then you have people who work more in the broader frame. How do you activate larger groups of people? Or how do you become more well-known or build your platform? And they too call themselves social media experts. So the key though is that if you want to be in a category that's very, very crowded, you have to know what makes yourself different. And the idea of category of one is to do enough client work to be able to figure out what makes you distinct, and then once you find that, to be able to use that in your marketing. And so again, it's not something that you just wake up with one day, but it's something that you accrue over time. That's why it's so important to start getting clients as quickly as you can,
Mm-hmm.
so that you start to accrue that sense of what makes you that unique and that different. Because what I have seen is that as you develop that expertise and you position yourself as a category of one, you're naturally able to attract a higher level of clientele, and they're willing to pay more for your specific expertise as you specifically articulate it.
Excellent. I really like that. How you phrase it around, or using that tag or whatever for a category of one, because I think that really shows that you are a distinct person in a larger category. Absolutely. For example, that we all bring something unique to our businesses, but it's so important to figure out what that is, and working with people and how you show up and how people perceive you is what helps you define that too. So
absolutely, because it's also about what you emphasize or don't emphasize, right? Mm-hmm. So once you realize what it is that people are actually buying from you, and why they're choosing to work with you over anyone else, and this is some data that you can start to gather right from your first client. Mm-hmm. You had a choice of 100 providers to give you this service. Why did you choose me? And those kinds of answers, the answers you get to those kinds of questions, will really give you a sense about what to highlight in your marketing. If I were to find that people really didn't care that I'm a psychologist or not, then I might not emphasize that, because it's not really doing anything in terms of helping me just make myself distinctive. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, if I find that people say, oh, well, you have this really caring way, I really like that you have this deep knowledge, or whatever they say, then I know that I want to emphasize that more. And so, right. So it's a living thing. Your category of one is also a living thing.
Right, and that starts to show up in how you are building your platform or your visibility on the web too, and that's what you become popular for.
Absolutely. And the one other point is that if you like to use technology, use technology. But if you don't like to use technology that much, then don't. There's enough methods online of how you can build your business. You can be invited to speak rather than hosting your own teleseminar. Mm-hmm. You can write a book and learn how to promote that rather than having to travel from event to event. You can go to event and you can network and meet people that way. So it's really about playing to your strengths and using those in a way that serves you and serves your business goals too.
Well, I think that's a great note to end on. If you could talk a little bit, about where people can find your brand new book, Internet Marketing for the Rest of Us. I highly recommend it, and it's not available on Amazon yet, so you need to go direct to Rachna to get it. So Rachna, why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's at profitablepopularity.com/book. So profitablepopularity.com/book. And if you decide to order, I'm also autographing all the copies that are going out. So I would love to be able to autograph one for you.
Perfect. Perfect. A personal, very personal edition of Internet Marketing for the Rest of Us. Again, I really recommend that you add this to your library and read it. That's the important thing. Don't just buy it and put it, on the bookshelf. Read it, because you will get some very deep insights into how you can use the web and your expertise to build a great business. So, Rachna, thank you so much. I apologize for some of the technical difficulties here, but hopefully we've been able to give some good content. I know you have given great content to our audience, and I look forward to seeing you on the web. I know you're becoming very popular, and and I also know that you're profitable. So, you're a great model and a great teacher. So thank you for being with us today.
Thanks, Denise, and thanks for having me.
Okay, so take care and log on, everyone.
I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.